I want to ask you guys about the HBCU explosion in this draft relative to last year, because this is something that we've started to talk about in the NBA draft and the college programs, that because now they can find you, YouTube is out there to help get your name out there, that it's balanced the playing fields for some of these schools in college basketball. And guys have said, I'm going to go to an HBCU to raise the profile of those kinds of schools. Could we start seeing that in the NFL draft a little bit more?
I hope so, man. I really hope so. And Deion Sanders, kudos to Deion.
Yep.
I think he has just highlighted it, right? Just elevated that platform. And he called out some teams, right? He had some players on his team that had their pro day, and he called out the teams. And you talk about the GOAT, right, at that position. So he said up there, he said, how dare you? I don't remember the teams, right? He said, how dare you guys not come and see our players go? These guys can ball out just like the other schools that you guys go to. He said, all right, I remember who you guys are. So when you have somebody that has that status, that can speak on your behalf when you're in such a small school that hasn't historically had respect, it's absolutely huge for these guys.
Yeah, you see a lot of those guys, and I was down there for the HBCU Combine. And I would like to see things kind of continue to get better. I like that they are trying to shine light on those prospects. The unfortunate thing for them was some of these guys, when I was asking them, man, how long have you had to prepare for this? They're like, man, I had about 3 weeks, to prepare for this. And that's just not as ideal. So I hope as, people continue to shine more light on the HBCU programs, that they can do a little bit more to put them in situations where they can be the best version of them when the scouts come along, because the scouts were there for the Senior Bowl. And it just happened to be, this is a good opportunity to, at the very least, see some guys, but I don't think that was the best that those guys could have done.
Yeah. And it's great to have someone like Darian Gray, who has Locked On HBCU, has a platform to highlight these guys as well, because sometimes all it takes is a little bit of attention to bring attention to these guys, to say, hey, maybe we should go down to Jackson State and we should go see some of these guys. I think that would be a really good cultural change in college football.
Yeah, there was a kid there, from Virginia State, Will Adams. I remember watching him. He played a lot of safety, somebody that has the movement skills, they play corner as well. Great fluid athlete, getting in and out of his breaks very well, ran well, was very explosive in the broad jump, in his vertical jump. But, there's no real mention of him throughout most of, draft Twitter and really any kind of media that you put on.
There's so much that goes into this. Man, we start talking about the HBCUs and smaller schools. It doesn't have to just be a HBCU, but just smaller schools in general. These guys don't get the exposure, right? And one of the main reasons why I think Deion Sanders went, and is taking a position that he's taking as a head coach there, is that it's elevating the platform. It's bringing attention to highlighting these guys that would never be noticed before. And there's a couple things that are knocks against them. They're a small school. The competition level that they're playing against, the resources that they have, even if they go out there and they ball out, now guess what? They don't have the sponsorships. They're not getting the scouts that are coming down there. They're not getting the agents that these guys are having access to. I know when I got hurt in my senior season, I immediately turned and started interviewing agents. Well, guess what? All these agents were all throwing at me, hey, we'll get you with the best surgeon, we'll get you with the best doctors, we'll get you the best rehab facility. You don't have to pay for this, you don't have to pay for that. Like, it's all taken care of. Well, you think these smaller school guys are getting those same opportunities?
Right.
They're not getting the same access to go out there and train at these elite places, sports performance institutes that are allowing them to get these big times. They're allowing them to run these 4.2s, and it might be a 4.4 guy, but if you had you been with a better training facility, you might have ran a 4.2. You have the capability, but you don't have those resources. So there's a lot that goes into these HBCUs that people are overlooking.
And it's not just the players. Right? It's the coaches as well that are going through this.
Yes.
Where, I was sitting there at Senior Bowl week, having a drink, talking to one of the coaches, and he says, we don't get the same opportunities as other programs. He's like talking about how much he had won at his program, but you don't see anyone ever go from being an HBCU head coach to a Power 5 head coach, right, or really any other Division I school. It just does not happen. So I think from there, hopefully Deion Sanders can help shine a little bit more light on what's going on there so people can be aware.
And Deion might get that opportunity, and if he gets that opportunity and turns it down, he's going to let people know about it. Yeah. And I think that too could help, because it's going to be like, these maybe these major college ADs are going to see what's going on. Maybe the transfer portal, you start getting some of these players. It's all part of this ecosystem.
It's like you're building a fire, and Deion's provided the spark.
Yeah.
You need to kindle it now. You get a little bit more exposure. You turn some of these guys that'll go in this draft, you change them from sleeper to true prospect. Now, next cycle, you move the pro day. so that it's more of a true event. That builds on, you get more guys drafted, more coaches come there, and they get more recognition. It all builds on top of itself.